It was a cold October night when another miracle of the Virgin Mary took place, shaking the entire medical team of a large metropolitan hospital. This extraordinary case involved an 8-year-old boy named Tyler, who was battling a severe pneumonia that did not respond to any conventional treatment. Tyler Johnson had been hospitalized for 3 weeks. What had started as a simple flu had quickly developed into a serious bilateral pneumonia. His parents, Sarah and Michael Johnson, had not left the hospital for days. The situation was becoming desperate. Dr. James Patterson, with 22 years of experience in pediatrics, had never seen a case so resistant to treatments. All the most powerful antibiotics had been tried, but the inflammation in Tyler's lungs simply would not respond. Before continuing, I want to ask you a sincere question. Are you ready to answer Mary's call for your life? If your answer is yes, comment, "I am ready." And don't forget to subscribe to the channel because here, miracles happen every day. "Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, I need to be honest with you," Dr. Patterson said during a meeting on a Tuesday morning. "We are running out of options. Tyler's condition is not progressing as we had hoped." Sarah held her husband's hand tightly, trying to hold back the tears. "Doctor, what does that mean exactly?" "It means we may need to consider more aggressive measures. Perhaps transfer Tyler to the pediatric ICU and consider mechanical ventilation," Dr. Patterson explained gravely. Michael Johnson, a man of deep faith, felt the world collapsed. "Doctor, how much time do we have to make this decision?" "We will monitor Tyler over the next 48 hours. If there is no significant improvement, we will have to act." That night, Sarah decided to remain at the hospital. She settled into the armchair beside the bed, determined not to leave her son's side. Around 2 a.m, Tyler stirred and suddenly opened his eyes. "Mom," he called with a weak voice. "I'm here, sweetheart. How are you feeling?" The boy did not answer right away. His eyes were fixed on the right corner of the room, near the window. Sarah noticed something different in that look. It wasn't fear, but a mixture of surprise and calm. "Mom, there's a lady over there." Sarah quickly turned, but found only the curtain and the soft light from the hallway. She tried to smile so as not to make him nervous. "Tyler, there's no one there. Maybe you're dreaming." "No, Mom, she's here. She's in blue. Like a princess." Sarah stood up, went to the window and pulled the curtain wider, showing the emptiness. "Wait, see? There's no one, my love." But Tyler did not take his eyes away. "She smiled at me, Mom," he murmured, almost in a trance. A shiver ran down Sarah's spine. Not knowing what to think, she called the night shift nurse. Minutes later, Rebecca entered the room. Experienced, she checked the monitors and took notes, surprised at what she saw. "Curious? His vital signs are better than they've been in days." Rebecca looked at Sarah and spoke softly, trying to calm her. "Sometimes, when they are very weak, children can have different experiences. But look, the important thing is that he seems to be at peace." Tyler slowly closed his eyes and for the first time in weeks fell into a deep sleep without moaning or tossing. The following morning, Dr. Patterson was genuinely surprised by the improvement in Tyler's appearance. The boy was more alert, and his breathing seemed less labored. "Tyler, how did you sleep?" "Very well, doctor. The lady in blue took care of me." Dr. Patterson looked questioningly at Sarah, who then explained the events of the previous night. "Doctor, I'm worried the medication might be causing these visions," Sarah said. "We'll run new tests today. It could be a side effect of the drugs, but the important thing is that Tyler seems to be getting better," Dr. Patterson replied. That afternoon's blood work revealed the first real improvement in 3 weeks. His white blood cell count had dropped, indicating that Tyler's body was finally starting to fight off the infection. "This is encouraging," Dr. Patterson remarked to the medical team. "We may be witnessing the beginning of the recovery we've been hoping for." On the second night, Tyler awoke again around 2 a.m. Sarah, exhausted, was still in the room. When she noticed her son open his eyes, she saw him staring at the same corner near the window. "She's back, Mom," Tyler whispered, with a faint smile. Sarah restrained the urge to deny or question him. She decided simply to watch. The boy remained quiet, serene, as though he were in the presence of someone who gave him peace. "Tyler, what are you seeing?" she asked, her voice trembling. "The lady in blue. She's taking care of me," he answered softly. As she listened to her son's words, Sarah was overcome by a strange sensation. She closed her eyes for a moment. A gentle fragrance, like that of fresh roses, began to fill the room. She wondered where it could have come from. At that moment she realized Tyler's breathing was lighter, calmer than it had been in all the previous weeks. The next morning, Tyler's vital signs showed even more significant improvement. Dr. Patterson was intrigued. "In all my career, I've never seen such a rapid recovery," he commented to Rebecca. "Doctor, may I speak with you in private?" Rebecca asked. They walked to a reserved area of the hallway. "Dr. Patterson, Tyler isn't the first child to report seeing a female figure dressed in blue during recovery." "What do you mean?" "In 15 years here, I've heard at least 6 similar accounts, always gravely ill children, always the same description, and always during the period when they began to recover in an extraordinary way." Dr. Patterson remained silent for a moment. "Rebecca, do you have any theory about this? May I show you something?" Rebecca led Dr. Patterson to a window at the end of the corridor that overlooked the hospital's small inner courtyard. "Do you see that garden down there?" Dr. Patterson looked through the glass. It was a small, well-kept green space, with flowers and a few small trees. "Yes, I see it." "There's a small statue of the Virgin Mary at the center of that garden. It was placed there when the hospital was founded, 42 years ago. Dr. William Carter, who was very devout, installed the image of Our Lady to protect the children admitted here." Dr. Patterson managed to make out the small figure among the plants. "All the cases I mentioned happened in rooms facing that garden. Tyler's room is directly above the statue." "That is interesting," Dr. Patterson murmured, processing the information. "Doctor, I'm not suggesting anything. I'm only pointing out patterns I've noticed over the years." On the third night, Sarah had fallen asleep in the armchair beside the bed. She was awakened by her son's soft voice calling, "Mom, look, she's here again." Sarah opened her eyes and saw Tyler sitting, his gaze fixed at the foot of the bed. At first, she noticed nothing but the silence of the room, yet the boy's expression carried an unusual peace. "Tyler, what are you seeing?" she asked, trying to hide her anxiety. "It's the lady in blue? She's right here. Look, very close to me." Tyler smiled faintly, like someone receiving tender attention. He took a deep breath and whispered softly, "Now she's gone. But I feel better, Mom. Much better." The next morning, Dr. Patterson was astonished at Tyler's transformation. The boy was sitting up in bed with an appetite, and his breathing was almost normal. "Tyler, how are you feeling today?" "Very well, doctor. Can I go home?" The new tests were extraordinary. The pulmonary inflammation had drastically reduced. It was as if Tyler had leapt forward by weeks of recovery in just one night. "Sarah, this is unusual," Dr. Patterson said honestly. "I have never seen such rapid improvement in a case so severe." "Doctor, do you think there's any explanation?" Dr. Patterson hesitated. As a physician, he had been trained to seek scientific explanations, but this case defied his understanding. "Frankly, I have no conventional medical explanation for this recovery. Sometimes the human body surprises us all." That afternoon, Rebecca suggested to the Johnson family that they visit the small indoor garden before Tyler was discharged. "There's something there that Tyler might find interesting," she said mysteriously. The family went down to the ground floor and found the little garden. It was a peaceful, well-kept place with a stone path leading to the center. In the middle of the garden, partially hidden by flowering bushes, stood a statue about 60 centimeters tall. It was an image of Our Lady, dressed in blue garments in a pose of maternal protection. Tyler immediately recognized the figure. "Mom, that's her. That's the lady in blue who came into my room." Sarah felt a deep emotion run through her body. She instantly grasped the significance of the moment. Michael was visibly moved as he witnessed his son's reaction. At the base of the statue, there was a bronze plaque. Our Lady, donation of Dr. William Carter, 1982. 42 years, Sarah murmured. How many other children has she protected? Tyler walked closer to the statue and instinctively placed his hands together in prayer. "Thank you for taking care of me," he whispered. At that very moment, a gentle breeze stirred the flowers around the statue, even though no wind could be felt in other parts of the garden. Intrigued by his earlier conversation with Rebecca, Dr. Patterson decided to discreetly review the medical records. He discovered a remarkable pattern. Over the past 15 years, there had been 7 documented cases of exceptionally fast recoveries in gravely ill children, all of them hospitalized in rooms facing the indoor garden. He could not explain it scientifically, but the data was undeniable. Always critically ill children, always recoveries that surpassed all medical expectations, always in the same specific rooms overlooking the small statue of the Virgin Mary. The news of Tyler's miraculous recovery spread quickly among the families of the region. The priest of the local parish, Father Rodriguez, visited the hospital and spoke with the Johnson family. Our Lady often manifests in places of suffering, especially where children are in need, Father Rodriguez explained. Your experience is not unique in the history of the Church. Father, how should we understand what happened? Sarah asked, as a reminder that we are always under divine protection, especially in our most difficult moments. Tyler was blessed with a very special experience. Father Rodriguez obtained permission from the hospital administration to officially bless the small garden. The ceremony was simple but meaningful, attracting several families who had heard about Tyler's experience. In the following weeks, the little garden began to receive silent visitors. Families with hospitalized children would come to pray discreetly, occasionally leaving small flowers near the statue. The hospital administration, initially hesitant about religious attention, decided to embrace the positive aspect the garden brought to families in difficult times. Tyler went home completely healed. His case became one of the most remarkable in Dr. Patterson's career, leading him to pay more attention to aspects of healing that he could not scientifically measure. Rebecca continued her work with a new perspective on the importance of listening to and respecting the spiritual experiences of patients and their families. The small garden became known among hospital staff as the Garden of Miracles. Nurses often discreetly mentioned its existence to families going through particularly difficult times. 2 months after Tyler's discharge, another similar case occurred. A 6-year-old girl named Emma began reporting visions of a beautiful lady in blue during her nights in the hospital. Emma was in the same room Tyler had once occupied. Her recovery followed a surprisingly similar pattern, slow at first, then a dramatic improvement after the nightly experiences. Dr. Patterson carefully documented this second case, beginning to form a theory about psychological and spiritual factors in pediatric recovery that went beyond conventional medical protocols. Rebecca observed that Emma described exactly the same apparition Tyler had reported, without having any prior knowledge of the boy's experience. Children have a spiritual openness that we adults often lose, Rebecca commented to Dr. Patterson. Perhaps they are more receptive to forms of healing that we do not fully understand. The Johnson family returned to the hospital several times, not for medical appointments, but to visit the garden and give thanks for Tyler's recovery. They always brought fresh flowers to place near the statue, Tyler kept a vivid memory of his experiences and often drew the lady in blue who had healed him. His drawings always showed a young female figure, dressed in blue, in poses of protection and care. The story began to attract the attention of others in the region, families seeking hope in difficult times. The little garden was carefully maintained by the hospital administration. The statue was cleaned and restored, becoming more visible to visitors. New hospital staff were instructed about the importance of respecting patients' spiritual experiences and about the garden's existence as a resource of emotional support for families. The small statue of Our Lady continued her silent vigil in the garden, witnessing the prayers of desperate families and becoming part of experiences that challenged conventional medical explanations. And so, another miracle of the Virgin Mary joined the many others that remain alive in the memory and heart of those who believe. The hospital was never the same again, for in that garden bloomed not only hope, but also the certainty of Our Lady's maternal presence. Now I invite you to pray with me, with all faith and trust, entrusting your life and your family to the care of the Virgin Mary. Sweet Virgin Mary, Mother of love and hope, today we place ourselves at your feet. See our pains, our struggles, and our worries. Just as you stretched out your hands over little Tyler in that hospital, stretch them also over each one of us with your protective mantle. Welcome our families, protect our children, strengthen those who are sick, and restore peace to afflicted hearts. Most Holy Virgin, Lady of Heaven, never allow us to lose our faith. Always lead us to your Son, Jesus, and make our lives also a living testimony of your maternal love. Amen. If this story strengthened your faith, subscribe now to the channel to follow more testimonies and miracles of the Virgin Mary. And in the comments, write with faith, Virgin Mary, intercede for us. Thus together we will form a great chain of prayer and hope.